Hey, welcome everybody to a video on the Cooper Navy Cap and Ball revolver. A little known revolver manufactured probably in the very early to mid 1860s. Uh, it is a revolver. There's not a whole lot of information out on there on the internet or anywhere else that I've seen. I've catch a little blurbs of it here and there, but it's just a little stuff about the company, different times when that people think it's formed. I've heard references to the mid to late 1850s. This gun in particular has been in my family for a very long time. It was inherited from my grandfather back in the mid 80s. Um, and I know he had it for a very long time. How far back it goes back in our family before him, I don't know. But it is a cool revolver that I would like to share with everybody. Uh, Back around the mid late 1800s, there was a lot of companies making what I would loosely call copies of Colt 1851 Navies and different stuff. And this is a revolver that is a little unique. It is a early double action cap and ball revolver. Not a whole lot of them out there. You just don't see double actions very prevalent in this time period. I mean, there are a few exceptions like the Star Revolver and the Pinfires, and I think some of the Bulldogs, but they aren't common. And this one here in particular, based off a Colt revolver, it's the only one that I really know of that is based on, or at least has the overall look and feel of a Colt cap and ball revolver. Uh, I have not over the years, like I said, been able to find out a whole lot of information on these. This particular gun is a 36 caliber. I believe it's a 5-inch barrel. It's actually a pretty compact little gun. You can see in comparison to my hand, I have average size hands. Could easily fit in a vest pocket. I wouldn't consider it a gun that I would want to holster so much, but it's fairly small. Uh, it is a 5-shot, and like I stated, it is a double action. This gun is fully functional. Just recently, a matter of fact. Like I said, this gun was handed down to me when my grandfather passed away. And I remember visiting him when I was a kid, and this is a long time ago where things were a little bit different. But I remember probably in my early years messing around with his guns a lot. He always was very, you know, open to letting me in the gun cabinet and fiddle with stuff. And I remember him telling me out of all the guns in there, this one you're not to dry fire. So he was very specific on that, I remember. Uh, Several years later, he passed away, ended up with guns, and I probably had this broken within a year. I was devastated. I mean, I just couldn't believe that I broke this gun. And even then, I knew the gun was not common, and finding parts were going to be, very hard. That happened probably in the late 80s. And this gun sat in the back of my safe. Every once in a while, pull it out, wipe it off, blah, blah, blah. And then get depressed and put it back, knowing that I didn't heed my grandfather's warnings and I broke this 120-year-old at the time gun. Every once in a while, I do a little search online, look at them and see what they were worth, and try to find one that was for sale. And I think I ran across maybe one or two in that time period. Uh, they are somewhat desirable, but probably not any more collectible than a Colt or any other firearm from that period. I did eventually, about probably 3 or 4 years ago, ran across a website that had what was touted to be original parts for these guns, and I bought one of every part they had and was thrilled when I got them in. And there was a little V-spring in there that was broken, and I replaced that V-spring and put this gun back in working order. It functions 100%. Everything about it is original and correct. It does have significant bluing still on the barrel assembly. I mean, It's got some discoloration and pits and marks and stuff here and there, but a lot of the bluing is still intact. The markings on the top are going to be very difficult to pick up. See if I can get it to focus here. Not having much luck. There we go. They're very hard to pick up, but basically it's Cooper Firearms and their address, and the last patent date is 1863. This gun is in the late 900s of serial numbers, so based off what I'm seeing in the barrel, I'm going to put that at probably the 1864 to 65 production range, I'm guessing. If anybody knows more about Cooper and all that, I'd be more than welcome to learn more about them. I could be off on my estimation, but a lot of these I've seen have been in 31 caliber. They've made in 31 and 36 in varying barrel lengths. Like I said, this one is a 36 caliber with what I believe is a 5-inch barrel. Never measured it, but it looks about right. Yeah, I mean, like I said, everything about it is good. The gun's never been fired as far as I've owned it. I mean, it obviously has been fired at one point in time. The bore is fairly shiny with a couple pits in it here and there, but considering its age and black powder and all that, it is in exceptional condition. I don't know that my grandfather ever shot it either. He did have caps and balls and powder and the stuff that I went through when I received the stuff from him, so I'd like to assume that he did. But the gun has not been fired since I've owned it, at least since the middle 80s or even earlier. But it's overall, I would put it in a good condition. I wish I knew more about the company and the history of these revolvers. Double action mechanisms back then were very delicate. Finding double actions from that period in working condition these days is difficult. So I'm very happy that it is up and running. Maybe one of these days I will take it out and shoot it. But that is pretty much the gist. I don't know if there's anything else I really could share about it. This one comes apart pretty easily. Just push on the wedge. Comes out the other side. Barrel assembly pulls off. Cylinder pulls out. Like I said, it's a 5-shot, 36 caliber. I'm assuming probably the original nipples. I don't know. Could be, maybe. I don't know. But there they are. Like I said, it's got the little hammer stop notches in between the nipples. Assuming that back in the day they would have probably loaded all 5 cylinders and rested the hammer on the stop notch. I guess that would have been perfectly acceptable back then. This is the rest of the gun, showing the machine work and overall condition. You can still see some faint traces of case hardening on the receiver. A little bit of pitting there. Little faint traces of case hardening. Rear sight is in the top of the hammer, like most of the percussion Colts from that era, if not all. Grips look like they're, haven't been messed with at all. Brass trigger guard. Gun's super easy to break down, super easy to put back together. Loading like any other cap and ball revolver. Half cock. See there. Half cock notch. Frees up the cylinder. Allows you to do the proper loading procedure with powder, ball, ram, and then capping at last, and then setting the hammer down. Wouldn't want to do that, but setting the hammer down between the cylinders. Cylinder is locked between with in that detent area, and the gun is would at this point, if it was loaded, be ready to go. Very compact. Like I said, could easily fit into your vest pocket of the time. I definitely wouldn't have felt underarmed with that during the time period. Very good concealable gun. Like I said, if anybody has anything that they could add to this in the comments, maybe educate me a little bit on this gun, I'd be more than happy to learn more about Cooper Firearms and the different models they offered.